There's a small house in northern Indiana. 2 bedrooms, 1 story, barely bigger than a garage. In the 1960s, 11 people lived in it. 9 of them were children. The 8th child, born in the summer of 1958, would grow up to be the most famous entertainer in the history of the world. The house stands at 2300 Jackson Street in Gary, Indiana. And the city around that house is one of the most remarkable places in America. It was built from nothing, from empty sand dunes, by the mightiest corporation on earth, which named the city after its own chairman. At its peak, 178,000 people lived here, in what was called the City of the Century. Today, Gary holds 69,000, a fall of more than 60%. Whole blocks stand silent. The grandest church in the Midwest is a ruin with trees growing through the sanctuary. But here is the twist this story turns on. The fact almost nobody knows. The steel mill that built Gary never closed. It's running right now. So if the mill is still here, where did the city go? 1906. The United States Steel Corporation is 5 years old and already a giant beyond precedent. The first billion-dollar corporation in human history. It needs a new mill, the largest ever built, positioned perfectly between the iron of Minnesota and the coal of the East, with a Great Lake for a driveway. Its surveyors find the spot on the southern shore of Lake Michigan. Miles of empty dunes. No town, no roads, no people. To a corporation, that emptiness isn't a problem. It's a feature, a blank page. The scale of what follows is almost pharaonic. Crews move 11 million cubic feet of sand. They bend a river, lay a harbor, raise blast furnaces like a man-made mountain range. And because a mill of this size needs tens of thousands of workers, and workers need somewhere to live, U.S. Steel builds that too. Streets, houses, schools, a whole city, drawn by the company, for the company. By 1911, the bill for the plant and its town? $78 million, at a time when that sum could buy a navy. They name the new city after the man who signed the checks, Elbert Henry Gary. And he's worth a moment, because his story tells you exactly what kind of place this is going to be. Judge Gary, the title stuck for life, was a small-town Illinois county judge who became fascinated by the steel business while hearing a lawsuit about it. He traded the bench for the boardroom, rose to run U.S. Steel from its founding in 1901, and held the chairman's seat until the day he died in 1927. He ran the company, and the city that bore his name, from an office in Manhattan. The father of Gary, Indiana, was a New Yorker. Hold that thought. This city was loved the way a spreadsheet loves a number. It was never anybody's hometown, until the workers made it one. And my, how they came. By 1920, 6 out of 10 people in Gary were immigrants or the children of immigrants. Poles, Serbs, Croats, Greeks, pouring in for mill wages. And up from the American South came black families in the Great Migration, chasing the same furnace glow promise. Hard work, real pay, a fresh start. A city conjured from sand in a single generation. Churches in a dozen languages. A downtown rising on Broadway. The night sky orange with mill light. They called it the City of the Century. For a while, it truly was. Understand what a union steel job meant in mid-century Gary. It meant a man with an 8th grade education could buy a house, a Buick, and a 2-week vacation. It meant lunch pails and shift whistles and dinner tables that never worried. The mill's glow on the clouds at night wasn't pollution to the people below it. It was a heartbeat. The numbers climbed with the smoke. 100,000 people by 1930. And the mill, Gary Works, reigned for decades as the largest steel mill on Earth. The steel in your grandfather's Chevy, the beams in Chicago's skyline, the plate in the ships that won the war. Odds are, some of it was born in Gary. The city had a conscience to match its muscle. In 1945, Gary became the first city in the Midwest to fully integrate its public schools, years before the courts required anyone to. And U.S. Steel, at its paternal peak, half paid for a cathedral. City Methodist, the largest Methodist church in the Midwest. 9 stories of Gothic stone, 3,000 members filling the pews through the 1950s. And in that same decade, in the little house on Jackson Street, a crane operator's family kept growing. In August 1958, the 8th child arrived, Michael Jackson. Within a few years, 5 brothers were rehearsing Motown harmonies in a living room the size of a parlor rug. The biggest sound in the world, warming up under the glow of the mills. That's what Gary was at full strength. A place where the American promise felt so sturdy that even its children's daydreams came true. By 1960, the census counts 178,320 people. Gary Works employs more than 30,000 of them as the 60s roll on. Everything in the city, every paycheck, every mortgage, every collection plate at City Methodist flows, directly or indirectly, from one address on the lakeshore. One employer, one industry, one reason to exist. In the boom years, that's called a company town. In the years that follow, it gets called something else, a single point of failure. Here's where this story refuses to follow the script you know. Foreign steel did surge in. Mills across the Rust Belt did close. But Gary Works, the great mill itself, survived. It survives to this day. Still the largest integrated steel mill in North America. Still pouring over 8 million tons a year. So why is the city around it half empty? Because of the quietest job killer of all, automation. Decade by decade, the mill learned to make the same steel, more steel, with fewer and fewer hands. Computers replaced clipboards. Machines replaced muscle. There was no shutdown day, no gates chained, no headline, no farewell whistle. Just this. Hiring slowed, then stopped, and retirement after retirement was simply never replaced. Follow the number, because the number is the story. Gary Works employed 30,000 people in 1970. By 1990, 6,000. Today, roughly 5,000, making nearly as much steel as 30,000 once did. The mill didn't abandon Gary the way Sears abandoned its stores. It did something harder to fight. It thrived without the people. Now run the company town math. The city existed to house a workforce. 5 out of every 6 workforce jobs? Gone. The paychecks that filled Broadway's shops, the parishioners who filled the pews, the taxes that filled the city's treasury, gone with them. Nobody decided to kill Gary. That's the chilling part. 1,000 efficiency decisions, each one sensible, each one invisible. the fatal decisions arrive in spreadsheets, not sirens. And together, they removed a city's reason to be. The mill kept its promise to its shareholders. There had never been a promise to the town. Those who could leave, left. And the leaving had a racial geography America knows well. White families with mill seniority and savings moved to the suburbs ringing the city. Black families, last hired and first cut, redlined out of the suburbs, largely stayed. By the 1970s, Gary held the highest share of black residents of any big city in America. A majority black city inheriting the bills of a company town whose company no longer needed it. Gary met that moment with something remarkable. In 1968, its voters made Richard Hatcher one of the very first black mayors of any major American city. A young lawyer who would fight for this town for 20 years. In 1972, he brought thousands of delegates to Gary for the first national black political convention. For 1 week, the struggling steel town was the political capital of Black America. Hatcher tried everything: federal money, a convention center, a downtown hotel, swinging at an economic tide with a city budget. The projects rose. The jobs didn't follow. You cannot zone a mill back to 30,000 men. So the city began to empty the way a tide goes out, slowly, then unmistakably. From 178,000 people to 69,000. Not a flood, not a fire. 61% of a city gone over 60 years. One moving van at a time. What a shrinking city leaves behind is arithmetic in brick. Half the people means half the buyers for every house. So whole streets slide from homes to rentals to vacancies to open sky. It means a tax base too thin to demolish the emptiness. So the emptiness just stands there, aging in public. Nothing says it like the church. City Methodist, the 9-story Gothic cathedral that U.S. Steel half-built, where 3,000 once worshipped, closed its doors in 1975, down to a few hundred aging members. A fire in the 90s took its roof. Today, trees grow in the nave. Sunlight falls through stone tracery onto a floor of moss. You may have seen it. It's become one of the most photographed ruins in America. Film crews use it. Urban explorers pose in it. And that fame carries a sting the residents will tell you about plainly. Gary is tired of being a backdrop. Tired of camera crews who fly in, shoot the decay, and leave. As if 70,000 people weren't still living here, mowing lawns and raising kids a block from the famous ruins. They're right. And it's worth saying in a story like this one, a city is not its emptiest building. So let's answer the question this whole episode asks. Where did the city go? Gary wasn't murdered, and Gary didn't fail. Gary completed its assignment. It was designed in 1906 as one thing, housing for a mill's workforce. It performed that function magnificently for 70 years. Then the mill stopped needing a workforce of that size, and the city discovered that no one, in all that time, had ever given it a second reason to exist. Same disease we saw in the malls. A place built for a single purpose dies when the purpose moves on. Except this time, the mall was home to 178,000 human beings. Company towns don't have economies. They have an employer. And an employer is not a promise. The little house on Jackson Street tells the other half. The Jacksons did what the city's most gifted children kept having to do. They took their talent somewhere it could be paid. Gary's greatest export was never steel. It was people. And still, drive in at night along the lakeshore, and the sky over Gary glows orange, exactly as it did in 1920. The furnaces are lit. The fire never went out. But in June of 2025, the fire changed hands in a way Judge Gary could never have imagined. Nippon Steel of Japan completed its purchase of U.S. Steel, nearly $15 billion for the first billion-dollar company in history, with Washington keeping a single golden share and a veto. The corporation that built Gary, named it, and outgrew it, is now run from Tokyo. The century turned all the way over. And the mill on the dunes, still pouring. Under its fourth flag, you might say, the judges, the unions, Wall Street's, and now Japan's. The steel, at least, has never stopped being made in Gary. The city itself is writing a quieter chapter. The census that counted the long fall has, in recent years, started counting growth. Modest, fragile, real. Demolition crews are finally clearing the worst of the emptiness. At the city's edge, the Indiana dunes, the same sand U.S. Steel bulldozed, are now a national park, drawing visitors to a shoreline the company once treated as a blank page. And there's a plan to let City Methodist stand as what it honestly is, a ruins garden, a memorial you can walk through instead of a wound you drive past. Pilgrims still come to 2300 Jackson Street, too, every summer on the anniversary of Michael's death, from every corner of the world, to stand in front of a two-bedroom house and marvel at what came out of it. They rarely know they're also standing in the middle of this story. A city that gave America its steel, its skylines, a civil rights milestone, and the king of pop. And that asked in return for one thing it never got: a second reason to exist. That's the lesson Gary teaches better than any place in America. A town, like a company, like a fortune, cannot live forever on a single engine. Sears had the catalog. Pan Am had the government. Gary had the mill. Diversify or depend. Every story in this series is one of those two words. Next time, a mystery hiding on ordinary American streets, maybe even yours. Between 1908 and 1940, Sears, yes, that Sears, sold about 70,000 entire houses by mail order, shipped in boxcars in 30,000 pieces, assembled by the families who bought them. Then Sears destroyed the sales records, and America forgot where they were. The houses that came in the mail, and the detectives who hunt them today. That's next time on Boomtown America.